All right, here we are. This is going to be a really fun sort of interactive episode. I promise you, we're going to try to make this like 30 minutes or less. I am notorious for going very long, but when I get excited about things I'm talking about or people I'm talking to, I can't help but just, keep going. But today we have Jason Triglia on the episode, and he is with Yerba Crew. So as you can see on the table here, if you're only listening to this podcast, I would highly suggest to come and watch it because I've got a bunch of mate, different types of mate on the table. I've got different types of gourds. I've got some bombillas or bombillas, which are basically filtered straws that you can use to do to enjoy your mate. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over how to prepare your perfect mate. And so, over the years, I've been fascinated with the topic and the trend of mate versus matcha versus coffee versus tea. And at the end of the day, I don't really care what you believe in, but mate is one of those ones that's been around for a really, really long time. And I know, Jason, that Yerba Crew has built an amazing community around what it is to use this, whether you use it as just a drink to help you feel better, or you use it as a part of your meditation or habit practice. That's what I like to do. And I think the process of doing this is what's fascinating because you can create like a sort of ritual or meditation out of it. And then we can talk about the benefits and the pros and cons in another time.
Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
But for now, I wanted to I did open the box to put the things here on the table, but I wanted to leave the rest to you, Jason. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it and really happy to connect with you too. And I think you encompass it very well as far as how you just explained it of, the health benefits, but then there's also like a really cultural side of it, also a community side of it too. So like all these things converge to give you that overall holistic benefit of yerba mate. But yeah,
absolutely.
I think we can jump right in and go for it. And this is great. So what we'll do is we'll walk through as pretending you're a first time user, how you would actually go about setting this up. So what I would do is you have a couple gourds there with you in front of you. So I would grab one of your gourds, and then I would also grab your bag of, I would grab our Yerba Crew, Yerba Mate.
Okay. And for people that aren't familiar with gourd, it's basically a cup, right? But it's positioned in a way and it's made in a way. Specifically, we should talk about this just briefly.
Okay.
But this specific one here is part of the reason why I met you. And this is from a friend in Budapest, in Hungary, which many of you know on the show. I have an affinity to Hungary because that's where my kids live. And so I frequent that place quite regularly. And I was just recently in Hungary because this was outside of Budapest in a city called Zalaegerszeg. And I know I'm butchering that, so forgive me for that. But I usually just call it Zala because it's much easier to say. And we celebrated my daughter's fourth birthday. And at the birthday party, I met this fascinating couple. And Ildiko, she provided these gourds for the party. So there's the kids and then there's the adults. And all the adults wanted to sip tea or sip coffee, which we had available. And then the kids had kombucha and juice and things like that. And Steffi and I, my ex, we were going to together, like, get some cups from either from the house or from IKEA or whatever. But Ildiko was like, no, that's blasphemy. Don't do that. Why do that when I can bring my cups? I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what it was all about, but I saw these amazing gourds and I was like, wow, I definitely want to drink out of that. And just the feel of it and the look of it. And each of these are handmade and like they're like one of ones, very beautiful. And she was telling me about how she works with this company, this guy in Philadelphia. And I was like, well, Philly is really close to New York. Like maybe we can get in contact. And so long story short, that's why we're here. Eldiko is doing some incredible things. What is the name of her website?
Yep. I will butcher it a little bit. It's like Keria Mart. So it's KERIMIART.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted you to do it because I didn't want to butcher
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yes, like shout out to Ildiko and family. Like her husband Gabor is also amazing in the things that he does. And I got a chance to connect with both of them and talk about different things to exercise and backpacking. Anyway, we built a beautiful friendship. And this is the beauty of technology and being able to connect with people across the water and around the world. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to use today. The one I got from Ildiko. And so I've got my gourd.
Nice.
And now what?
Yep. And also, I was going to grab it. So this is like the, say, ultimate kind of traditional gourd. So it's called a gourd because the traditional way is actually a calabash, like a type of pumpkin. And so you have the pumpkin, you cut off the top, you hollow it out, and then you cure it. And then like sometimes people will wrap it in leather to hold it, and then you drink from it that way. So that's why we call them gourds or mates. And then you just have different twists on it with a ceramic or wooden or stainless steel. So different versions of it. But yeah, ultimately it's a vessel to hold your drink. But yeah, this was a
And
choice.
thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad you touched on that because when you get a package like I got,
Mhm.
that you very kindly sent to me, I noticed that in the two gourds that were in it, there was this what I thought was a rag, but then as I opened it up, I realized, oh, this is like a sweatband, wristband, right? And that is designed to go around the cup, or the gourd to potentially protect from the heat because depending on how hot the water is, this will carry some heat. So we use this to kind of protect it. And the one you showed has a leather wrapping, right? So it helps to protect that as well.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the different materials like ceramic, non-insulated ceramic, like these handmade ones can transfer the heat. Other ones don't really transfer it as much. So kind of depends on the materials. But yeah, so those come that way. If you feel it getting too hot or anything, you just put the sleeve on there, and then that gives that little bit extra protection, makes you feel a little better there.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right.
Yep. So I would take so you have your gourd and
Mm-hmm.
take your yerba bag. So I'm doing this in real time with you also. So you have to tear the top part of it.
That's an easy tear.
Good. Yep.
All right. And we open this up.
Yep. And then probably the audience won't be able to see it, but it's basically made up the yerba is made up of it's a type of holly bush that grows in Argentina, parts of Paraguay, parts of Brazil. And so it's a holly bush, and you cut that up and you use the whole bush. So you have the leaves, you have the stems, and so you'll cut those up into smaller pieces and you dry them, and then you're basically drinking that. So it's a pretty basic, straightforward process as far as taking it from what's growing to what you're actually drinking. So that's what I enjoy. It's less mystery in there. So what you can do too is you don't have to seal it, but I shake it a little bit to mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
And then what you do is you'll take your gourd and you're gonna fill it up. Most people, think it should be a little bit, but you want to fill up your gourd about 2/3 of the way with the yerba. Anything above like half of the way is great.
So that's the benefit of having a big bag like this because
Yeah.
you're obviously going to go through it.
Yeah.
So there we go. It's about two
Yeah. Yeah.
thirds.
That's good. Yep. Yep. So I have it around
Okay.
there. Okay. You can
Now
put
looking at that, I'm thinking to myself, like, because if you're used to doing tea, regular tea or coffee, that's a lot
yeah, yeah.
of
Yep.
base product. But I'm trusting you, man.
Oh, yep, yep. This is like the number one thing that people do wrong when they start. That you should put a little bit because that's basically a regular tea. Uh, you set it up. So what you do next is take your palm, put it over top of the cup, the vessel there. So you want to cover it and seal it, and then you kind of flip it and you give it a shake a couple times. Yep. And then flip it back over, and then you should see on your palm some version of a circle there. So now you're part of the yerba mate community there. So what it
So
did is,
I'm in the inner circle, huh?
yeah, you're in the inner circle now. So what this is they're the smaller particles of yerba, so the more pulverized side of it. So what we did was when we flipped it upside down, we brought all those smaller particles up towards the top. And so what that does now is when we put the actual straw in, we're less likely to push those little dusty particles into the straw. And so
Copy that.
that way, yep. And then what you do next is you kind of take your gourd and you shake it a little bit so that you're forming like an angle of yerba, a little mountain in there.
Okay.
Yep, so that looks good. Okay. And then what I'll do is kind of gently put it back right side up. And then this is a little bonus. You'll take your like just room temperature water, or sometimes I just grab cold water out of the fridge, and you pour it on the
The
lower
downward slope.
yeah. And I guarantee I'll spill some of it. You'll probably spill
Yeah.
some, but
Yeah, exactly.
no part
Oh,
of it.
good. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
And how much are we pouring?
So you pour about like an ounce or two. So kind of like say a shot's
Whatever,
worth.
whatever that means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can
Okay.
watch me in
So
real time. Got it.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, got it. Yep, that's good.
And I did spill some, but that's okay.
Yep. It's all part of it.
So it settled
So
down.
what you want to do is now you could probably put on your table, and what I'll do is I'll put a bombilla on the table like this, and then I just set the gourd on it at an angle, and then
And
have it, and
okay,
it's
got it.
basically sitting there, and it's the actual yerba is now coagulating with itself with and the water is helping it set so that it'll form that little bottom part of the mountain. And this is the next step of making sure that when you put the bombilla in, it's not going to shove the smaller particles in, because now those smaller particles are all connected down there. So you
Okay.
can leave that there for uh, I do it for like 30 seconds, because whenever we talk about like the perfect mate routine, it's it's always subjective based on who's doing it, who they learned from, everything like that. For me, or like how much time they have in the morning. For me, most of the time, it's like I wake up, it's just zombie into the kitchen. I've set the hot water. I prep this at the same time, and then when the hot water is done heating up, this is already prepped, and then I come back to it and I can start drinking it. And so I'm pretty quick with like just getting it done. You have the other people that are more like the say like the coffee connoisseurs, where everything's a perfect temp, perfect whatever. You have that in the mate world too, where people will
That's how
love
I am with my
it.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you can decide where you want to land in the mate world. And if you want to go deep into things, yeah, you can get like really cool angles on the mate, play around with it, get perfect temperatures. But from my
Nice.
side, I usually am a quick quick mover with it. So I let it sit for about 30 seconds. It's probably what we were probably hit a minute already. So you're good now. So now you just take your gourd and you want to get your bombilla. So like you alluded to earlier, it's basically a reusable straw that has a built-in strainer on it. So you have all these little pores at the bottom. And so that's what allows us to drink this as a loose leaf tea without sucking up all the leaves in there. So what you want to do is just grab your bombilla. All right. And so like the little concave piece along the inner lining of the gourd on the lower half. Yep. And then you just slide it down. So sometimes I wiggle it a little bit, and you want that filter to hit kind of the bottom of the gourd. And then you can wiggle a little bit more to shift it. So the filter will end up right in the bottom center, and you end up with like a, yeah. And you could even do it a little more where you end up with a a bit more of an angle. Again, these are like little tiny intricacies. Some people will just throw the yerba in, throw the bombilla in, and start drinking it. But
Now
I
I
find
got it.
this helps the most for me. Yeah, perfect. Yep. So now you're ready to drink. uh, so you should have a thermos.
Thermos.
Yep.
I do. I've got a
So
nice this one here,
there
and
we
then
go.
I've got the temperature right about. You hear that pop? I have it at about 180.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So, and
So
it's probably gone down about 175. With the time that we've been
mhm,
talking. But yeah, it's ready.
yeah. So you want to aim for the water between. Usually we give the guide of like 150 to 180 ish, and it all depends on people's preferences. I usually, because I have an electric kettle and it has a setting on there for
Same.
155 instead of 160, I just go 155. So um, what you do is a little bit more than that room temp water that you poured in. You're gonna pour that in now with the hot water around like say 2 ounces or so.
Any part of it, like just right
Yeah.
in the middle, or
So I would aim for the bombilla side, so anywhere on the half of the bombilla.
okay. I'm gonna turn this around and do it
I can
that way
explain kind of the strategy for that too. So yeah, you're gonna pour in.
until it rises all the way to the top, or
No, so what you want is you'll see like especially on the first pour, it's slightly different because on the first pour, a lot of that water that you pour in is going to get absorbed like right into the leaves. So it'll change on the second, third pour. But the idea is on the first one, you'll pour it in, you'll see like the leaves kind of lift a little bit,
hmm
but you
hmm
don't want the water to cover all the yerba mate. That'll create it was called like a yerba mate soup. And what that does is
okay,
it pulls like all the flavor kind of all at once versus our strategy is since we're pouring 2 ounces of water at a time is to kind of conserve that extra yerba. So our strategy is we're going to pull all the flavor from this part of the yerba first. And then when that kind of depletes over time, then we'll pour more into the middle as that depletes. So like I'll drink this for 2 hours in the morning when I'm working,
okay.
whatever. So it's like a
Smells
longer
good.
period. Yeah. So you could take a sip. You might not get a huge amount and brace for like it's going to be hot because it's hot water, but it shocks people sometimes. They're not used to drinking
Okay,
from a metal straw and getting heat.
that was your fun disclaimer, huh? Yeah,
Hmm.
but I feel the warmth. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of nice because I can imagine during the cold, like the winter and things like that, this is probably a really pleasant feeling. But again, we've got the sleeve in case it's too hot.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, this feels really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go for this first drink. Here we
There
go.
you go. Go for it.
Oh, that's nice. It I mean, I know this is very obvious, but it tastes like it smells. And so I think if you're someone that is very in touch with your senses, which I am, I kind of knew that this would taste the way it smelled, and I'm happy that it tastes amazing. Like this is really, really nice. I can imagine just sipping on it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice earthy flavor to it. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
there's a full range of different types of yerba mate styles depending on where they're grown and like how they're taken care of. So for this one, this is grown um, more in fields, and so you'll get more sun exposure. So it ends up creating like a lighter flavor versus some other yerba is grown more in the shade, and so that'll hold way more of the strength, and so that'll have a stronger kick to it. So you'll have these different ranges based on how they're grown, how long they're aged, whether or not smoke is applied to them. But yeah, this is like I really love this kind. It's more smooth, subtle with it.
So if you could hear that, I just slurped the last of it.
Hmm. Yep, that's part of the strategy too. Each time, because traditionally you would have one person, say me, it would be like the sabador, so the leader of the group. So you would have like 6 of your friends sitting around in a circle. You have one person that's responsible for setting it up and for filling it up with water. And then, so I would fill it up, I would hand it to you, and then you would take it, you would drink it until you hear that empty sound, and then you hand it back to me. and then I would pour more in.
So I can do that
And
now.
yep. And then I would hand it to the next person in the group. So you have one person that's kind of leading that, and then no one else is allowed to mess with it. They just have to drink it. But in case when you're drinking by yourself, yep, you're doing all the pouring, all the drinking yourself. So the second one, you should get a little bit more liquid coming through because less is being absorbed. Yeah, you'll get that nice flavor to it.
And then again, do you kind of, after you do your pour, is it kind of, do you wait a little bit or do you kind of just go? I mean, obviously, depending upon how hot the water is, but is the idea for it to brew?
It's almost real time brewing because it's actually
Okay.
instead of like a tea, it's an infusion. And so as soon as that's flowing through, it's basically pulling that flavor straight out. So you can pretty much immediately drink from it after you're pouring it. And you have some of the leftover water from the times before that are like kind of pulling more of the flavor also. So what you'll do is you basically continue doing this. What I noticed was someone asked me, they said, like, how frequently are you drinking or are you pouring the water in after that first pour and how many times are you drinking it? And I always would say, oh, it's about every 10 minutes. But then I actually did a little study on myself where I just noted every time I would pour it, like as I was doing work. And I noticed it was within the first 10 minutes, maybe you're pouring it like 4 or 5 times, doing that initial couple setups, couple pours. And then after that 10, 15 minutes, that's when you start to feel like the benefits of it coming through of like this calmer focus. And it has some of the similar ingredients to like dark chocolate that are known for like that kind of euphoric effect. And it's like this little happy feeling. And they the combination of like the amino acids, antioxidants, and the caffeine that's in mate create like this unique property that people just call it matein. So it's a made up word, but representing mate, caffeine. And like that's the magic that when you are drinking it, you feel that nice little focus. And then all of a sudden, so what I was saying about the first 10, 15 minutes, that's when it starts to kick in for me. And then I get focused in whatever I'm doing. And so maybe I'm not drinking it as often. So maybe it's another 10 minutes before my next sip, another 15 minutes, the next sip. And like it's slowly but surely the increment changes over time.
Mm.
So
I like that. And I'll be very careful on how I explain this, but I like how in the world of mate, it's this opportunity to build community. This is what we talked about on one of our initial calls, and I love that because I'm all about building community as well. And I love that kind of within the community there's all these points in which if you know you know, right? So like the matein like you just mentioned, and I know there's other infusions and versions, and one of the things that I want to explore, and I know we talked about this, and because this is my show I can talk about whatever I want, right? uh one of the things I want to do is play around with this idea of mate bis, mate this, right? And so you can let your mind wonder on what that would be, but just adding in other compounds to this mate to see if there's any added benefit, to see if there's, other health components that we could explore by doing that. And so I definitely want to play around with that because whenever I consume plant medicines, um, there's this blend called Bear Blends, and it has things like mugwort and mullein and peppermint and lemon, and it's got all these beautiful herbs and aromas that add to the consumption of various herbs, right? And so I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, what would that be like? Because I was reading up on what is yerba mate and what is mate, and it's kind of like coffee, kind of like cannabis, kind of like many things out there, chocolate. It depends on where it's from, how it was grown, how it was cured, how it was sourced, how it was packaged, how it was delivered, and all of that makes up something different, completely different. Then you pair that with the lifestyle of the person that is consuming, right? If you're using it to check out, then that's probably very effective at it. If you're using it to check in, to maybe meditate to get into a deeper understanding of yourself, then you could probably do that. So I think it's, everyone has a different way about going about it, but I wanted to touch on that because I love that we can kind of make it our own depending on how we want to use it.
Yeah, yeah. And also, especially also the routine side, and then what I was explaining about this like macchiato of someone setting it up, handing it to someone, like they have similar crossovers, I think. And I didn't really understand that until people told me, like when I was explaining the mate, they're like, "Oh, that's very similar to this other, the bis part of it." I was like, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, yep."
It's
Um,
true. It's true, right? Like, you know, I let's just talk about it. Like I never got into consuming when I was in high school and college. And that was just because I had so many examples around me of what not to do that it just and also I wanted to maximize and optimize my performance playing basketball, running track, and I also wanted to maximize and optimize my cognitive ability. And it was always told that if you do that, you're a loser, you're pothead, all these kind of things. But then as I started to understand more about it, I'm like, well, actually, there's there is something more to certain people. The addictive process is not necessarily in the compound itself, but it's in the habit of rolling, the habit of because it's like a meditative process because you're doing something for either yourself or for others, kind of like cooking. There's some people who maybe only want to make sandwiches and have sandwiches every day. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. And if you come over to my house, I'm not going to make you a sandwich necessarily, but I'm also not going to whip out a gourmet meal, right? But the times when I do cook for someone, it makes me feel so good. And then you've got this exchange of like the person hopefully appreciating what you did to cook them that meal. And so the same can go with mate, the same can go with cannabis, the same can go with so many different compounds out there. I think it's just perception and the way we decide to show up when we do said process.
yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with it. And it's yeah, I see a lot of the crossover too being this community thing of and then a welcoming piece where say when I would visit Argentina and you go to someone's house, pretty much the immediate question is, "Do you want some mate?" And it's like this very welcoming piece, and then you're sharing it. So you're kind of dropping some of the ego side of it and like the hierarchy side of it. Everyone wants to drink mate together. It's like grabbing a beer where it's like, all right, no talking about work kind of thing. It's like more of a pleasant routine, and everyone kind of enjoys it, the taste of it, the routine of it, and the community side of it. So I think definitely crossovers there.
This is awesome. I before we wrap, because I did promise that we would do this in less than 30 minutes, and we're almost there. Couple quick questions, and then I want to make sure that we let people know how to enjoy this along with us. First question, or first couple of questions: what do you do after you've kind of finished all of it? "Quote unquote," finished all of it. What do you do with it? What's the best practice? Like, do we just toss it in the trash? Do we want to try to reuse this for other purposes? And then what's the best way to make sure that we keep our gourds and everything clean?
Yep, yep. So most people, well, a couple options. If you're in the house, most people throw it out and just trash it. So what they'll do is take the bombilla and kind of pop all the yerba out into the trash can. But then you do have other people that also try to use it for gardening. So they'll use it in like the veggie gardens, or some people will put it in plants like around the house a little bit, or plants outside. So some people do try to use it like the fertilizer kind of options there. And usually, if you're out in like a park, especially in Argentina, you'll see by like trees, by the tree stumps, all little piles of used yerba mate because that's where people usually put it.
Okay.
You put it on the ground somewhere around the park where someone's not going to sit in it, but it's still not just thrown in the trash. So it's definitely biodegradable, everything like that. Um, so yeah, that's usually what people do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but that's mostly it. You really can't use like some people will ask me, well, can I use the same yerba 2 days in a row and just kind of save the used yerba in the gourd and use the next day? It's usually not really recommended because it's gonna all that yerba is just sitting there with the water absorbed to it, it's going to just create a really moist environment in there. So
Okay.
normally it's once a day. Um, Try to, it depends on the gourd. So ceramics are really nice where you don't need to worry about like cleaning it out right away. If you need to run and it needs to sit in here for 6 hours before you clear it out, it's not going to create mold or mildew, things like that. With the traditional ones that are more of the calabash, you have to be really careful because it is a more of a natural material. So with the gourds, what you do is what I do is I take it, dump all the herb out, and then I usually just quickly in the sink, quick sponge, and wipe it down, and then I just put in the dish rack. So you can. These are also dishwasher safe too. So if you want to use dishwasher, you can do that. The other types of gourds, like the calabash ones, are a little bit tougher. Wooden ones are right in between, where you don't want a lot of moisture to collect and sit in those gourds because they can create mildew and mold. So it's kind of, if you're going to use any type of water to clean it out, usually take like a paper towel, put the paper towel in to try to absorb it a bit, and leave it out in the open where it's not in like a closed dark space. It's more out in the open where airflow can dry it out the rest of the way.
Perfect. Yeah, easy enough. So yeah, use it however you're gonna use it. Either throw it out, reuse it somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, if I'm gonna be using this all the time as my mate setup, then a quick wipe on the inside is probably good enough because, like, whatever. Um, and then yeah, that's it. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I would check us out on Instagram. So our handle is just at Yerba Crew. Also, I manage that. So any DMs or any questions, I'll just respond directly to you. And then we have our website, yerbacrew.com. So all the supplies that you have, plus plenty of other ones, plenty of other accessories we have there, and plenty of discounts too related to it.
There we go. This community likes discounts. I'm sure you know that. I do promise to bring Jason back on so we can actually go much deeper into other parts of all of this and maybe talk about how we got to know each other more, and maybe we talk about some of my experiments on the next time we bring you on. But I want to say thanks for your time, and then to the audience, thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up. If you've got questions for me, for Jason, or anything that pertains to it, even if you have your own special way of doing it, let us know. Like, let me know what's happening in the world, because I feel like I'm now part of the circle. I'm a part of the Yerba Crew. I got the nice welcome message after getting this product and getting signed up. So look forward to much more of these in the future. And until next time, peace.
Yes.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen. Better come give us a minute or two. Open the box up, we giving you tools. Giving your engine the fuel that it needs. Breathing into it, it's autoimmune. Make a connection, we're stronger in two. Making us one of a kind of a few. Work on the mind, but show me your moves. If you do what you say, you know what to do. Yeah.
Walk the talk.